Create live. All right, I'm just going live here. This is my thinking face. I have to concentrate a lot. Today we're going to talk about accents, so it's going to be fun. All right. Hey, how's it going there, partner? I'm a cowboy from New York. This is my accent. If you guys like to have accents and use accents, is there an idiolect, an accent that you guys like to use when you're talking on, by yourself? Kate Blanchett. All right, we've already got some entries into this. I've got some musical accompaniment today. It's beautiful, isn't it? Sounds like music to my ears and no one else's. I wonder when people are doing accents, how much anxiety that's got to provoke to try to be like, hey, Jimmy, what's up? I hope you brought your coffee. I hope you want to talk about movies today, and I hope we want to talk about accents, because that's what we're going to maybe talk about. We can talk about whatever you want, really. There's no, there are no rules. First rule of Aristotle Full Throttle is this second rule of Fight Club. Science. There it is. You guys, you know what I did? I did this magical thing that I learned from watching a TV show called The IT Crowd. I turned it off and turned it back on again. And it magically worked. Thank you guys for letting me know that. I'm also on the live stream on Instagram. So if you guys couldn't hear me here, the guys on the Instagram can fill you in. Thank you guys. Box Lightner Brothers, thank you for showing up. Will, Tatiana, Ishmael. I like that name. It's very biblical. You are. Well, listen. I was just giving an update on my parents, who are dealing with the coronavirus right now. They have COVID-19. My mom has tested positive, and she lives with my dad, and they both are experiencing it. So, no need to test them both because there aren't enough tests to go around, and that's the issue. Unless there's high availability of tests, we need to stay away from each other. We need to lock down. We need to wash our hands. We need to be safe and socially distance. Not just socially distance. It's a really misleading term. We should physically distance. You don't have to socially distance. We've got our phones. We've got this. We've got the miracle of modern technology to keep us integrated and together. So I was saying, my father is not doing as well as my mom. My mom her symptoms are, she's got lethargy, but she seems to be in good spirits and is okay. My father, however, is, he's got the COVID, and it's not, I'm checking in with them multiple times a day. The thing I worry about is them downplaying it and them thinking, oh, this is just a regular flu. It's not a regular flu. Once you start to experience shortness of breath, which I keep asking them that, like every hour, you need to go to the hospital if you have COVID-19, because what happens is there's sclerosis in the lungs. That means that scar tissue builds up inside your lungs, and that's irreparable. And fluid can build up in your lungs, and then that causes pneumonia. And that's not a pretty sight. It's really difficult to come back from. So let's try to avoid that, all of us together, and let's try to avoid that for our families and our loved ones. So on that cheery note, let's continue talking about movies and accents and how amazing Meryl Streep is at doing accents. And I'm not going to answer that. Phone's ringing in the middle of phone just rang in the middle of a live stream. I don't know how to negotiate that on my phone. It's funny how you talk about foreign actors playing American parts, but as American actors play foreign parts, we think their accent is good being American. That's true. We can't tell when someone sucks at being, say, English or something. I thought that Don Cheadle was doing a good job in the Ocean's 11 movies, but apparently he's terrible. Cheers. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Your thoughts are counted and mean a lot to me. And I will pass that on to my parents. Yeah, but other countries do know our accents suck. We definitely suck. I can definitely hear it. So this is what, I grew up in New York. I grew up in and around New York. And I can hear it so distinctly. I specifically can hear it. It sounds, I know the sound of a New York accent. And when I hear someone trying to do a New York accent and they're not freaking from New York, I'm like, get this guy out of here. They're trying to call me. Trying to get calls. I gotta block calls. How do you block? Oh, you turn off the phone. Anyway, I'm like, look at this freaking guy over here thinking he's got a New York accent. Get the F out of here. I'm not gonna curse on this. This is not in New York. What would you call this? What I'm drinking right here? A hot beverage with caffeine. Coffee. It's coffee. Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis is pretty good. However, when you listen to certain actors that are trying to do a New York accent like Cher, I thought she did an amazing job in Moonstruck. People were like, she won an Oscar for Moonstruck, in fact. But when I'm listening to Cher, having grown up in New York, I'm like, this sounds like someone trying to do a New York accent. It's really funny to me. But she did a good job, regardless. Another notable bad accent is, but in the most charming and beautiful way, Nicolas Cage in Raising Arizona. Very funny. Though I'm not from the South, so I could not test the authenticity of that. But others, yeah. So when I It's funny. I actually had to do an Australian accent for one line in a movie on a TV show one time, and I was practicing for like 3 days to try to get it right, and then I just got in my own head, and then I sounded like I was a Cockney. But it's very funny because I kept repeating the line to people who are Australian, and then they were like Australian, and they were like, yeah, that sounds fine. And then like one person would say, yeah, that's sure, and then another person would say, sounds good, and then another person would say, I guess you would hear that, which I didn't know how to quite to take. Um, Daniel Day-Lewis does kind of ham it up. Is Daniel Day-Lewis the greatest actor of all time? The correct answer is Meryl Streep. But Con Air, yeah, he was in Con Air. When Nicolas Cage does a southern accent, not quite sure what to think. Not quite sure he knows what to think, to be honest. But he is a sight to behold. There's a movie coming out soon. I just heard about this. Nicolas Cage is going to play Nicolas Cage, and he's going to redo a bunch of scenes in movies that he's known for. So he's going to be acting as himself in all of his most famous roles, which I can't wait to see. It's kind of like being John Malkovich, but Nicolas Cage version. Thank you guys for showing up. We're talking about movie accents. I was watching Inglourious Bastards, and I think it's pretty funny that Brad Pitt deliberately has a bad accent in that. Grazie. If you remember that scene where they trying to outsmart the what's his name? The actor. Let's see. The bad guy in I'm drawing a blank. Christoph Waltz. When they're trying to outsmart him by trying to pretend to be Italians, and he could immediately speak Italian, so he knew that those guys were BSing him. John Malkovich. So John Malkovich has a thing. My voice almost cracked. Going through puberty. John Malkovich has a thing where he does an idiolect, and I learned about this from watching the dialogue expert or the dialect expert on YouTube. Check that guy out. He's really fun. Christoph Waltz. Yes. There are actors who have an idiolect. And an idiolect means it's a specific speech pattern just to them, to that person. And there are a lot of actors who have that. Like Christopher Walken has an idiolect. However, this is an interesting story. Christopher Walken is from a very specific part of Queens. Actually, he's from New York, obviously. But he's from a part of New York where there's about a 5-block radius. And I know this because I heard a guy talking a couple years ago, and he sounded like this when he was talking. He's like, yeah, I'm from New York, but I'm from the same part of Queens that Christopher Walken is from. And this 5-block radius in Queens has a dense population of Estonians. So Christopher Walken's accent is a blend of the New York accent, which is Cockney, Italian, and Yiddish. And it's all blended together with Estonian speech cadence. And this dude had it too, because he grew up in that same group of Estonian New Yorkers. So they're like a small group of people with a weird way of talking, and it doesn't sound weird to them. I think that's pretty funny. He's like, yeah, I sound like Christopher Walken, right? I know, everybody tells me that. They tell you that for good reason. William Shatner has an idiolect. Yes. If you talk like these people, you'll just sound like those people. I think Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. He's always fiddling with his glasses. It's like, Jeff Goldblum, get contact lenses. Why you gotta pull your glasses off all the time? I like Tatiana's response to Will offering up Shatner as an example. Her response is fascinating. Nice Star Trek reference there. I like it. It's a very funny blend of New York and Estonian. Who knew? Except for maybe Christopher Walken and like a few hundred other people in the world. I actually went to Hofstra University. That was the college I graduated from, with a degree in motion pictures, movies, if you will, moving picture shows. And Christopher Walken went there, and Christopher Walken went to Hofstra University. Interestingly enough, for dance, he majored in dance. And that's why he's so smooth on the dance floor. He was in that Fat Boy Slim video. There's actually a really cool mashup on YouTube you could watch of Christopher Walken doing dance moves for like 10 minutes. It's pretty great. Stephen Hawking. Yes, Stephen Hawking had a very specific way of talking. I like it. Mitch Hedberg is very good. Stephen Wright. I would say Stephen Wright. I think he's like half asleep. That's how I would describe his speech pattern. One of my favorite jokes is everything's within walking distance if you have the time. Stephen Walken. Stephen Wright. Very good. He's got a really good short film from the 80s called The Appointments of Dennis Jennings. If you ever get the chance to spend 8 or 10 minutes watching a short film that is just incredibly bizarre. It opens with him having a dream of a guy laying down, but you can't see what's happening, but there's a guy hitting him with a shovel, and you hear like dink, dink, and he's kind of seeing this guy getting hit in the head with a shovel. And then he wakes up from the dream, from the sound. You know how you like wake up because you hear a sound, and then that sound incorporates itself into your dream. So you start dreaming about a weird thing happening, and that sound kind of makes sense in the dream. So he's dreaming about a guy laying on the ground getting hit in the head with a shovel, and he gets up and he looks out the window, and then there's a guy on the ground getting hit on the head with a shovel. This is very funny actor and comedian. I don't know if Stephen Wright is much of he's more of a comedian. He's still working. Christopher Walken would make an awesome uncle. That much is certain. Mitch Hedberg. I love Mitch Hedberg. He's got a lot of great jokes. He's got so many ways. His way of talking is fantastic. He was also in Almost Famous. And he's got a great story about him in a scene with an actor playing Peter Frampton. And he said he had just the most surreal moment smoking fake weed with fake Peter Frampton. But I think he had smoked real weed before the scene, which is highly possible and likely. Mitch Hedberg is very funny. But I think you hire those people, like Christopher Walken. Oh, here's a good one. I don't know if you guys remember him. Jack Palance. Jack Palance always had a way of breathing before every line. He's a very breathy kind of actor. Remember him? He was in Batman. Remember, you are my number one guy. That guy, remember the old guy? And he did the one-arm push-ups. He won for playing Curly in City Slickers. He won an Oscar, Best Supporting Actor in City Slickers, and did like a one-arm push-up when he won, and he was about 72 or something. It was pretty impressive for an older guy. He had an accent because he was also born in another country. I'm almost certain. But there are some secret actors out there who cover their accent, and you wouldn't know that they were foreign born just because you would think, oh, well, maybe that's their idiolect. That's just their way of talking. Well, he was born in Hazel Township, Pennsylvania, so he's got no excuse. Unless they all talk like that in Hazleton. Um, there's a famous actor. She has a funny way of talking. And she's very famous. I'm just going to talk in vagaries for the rest of the show. What was the cast of Romancing the Stone? While we get to it, I can't remember names right now. It's okay. It's a high stress era that we're living in. City Slickers. I just shout out to City Slickers and City Slickers 2. Rutger Hauer. Awesome example. Rutger Hauer, Swedish guy, I believe. Nordic for sure. He had a way of talking, and you wouldn't quite. He's from the Netherlands. Sorry, he's Dutch. He had a way of talking that people just thought, oh, well, you know, that's just the way this guy talks. But no, it was definitely a heavily accented, weird speech pattern that I actually saw Rutger Hauer one time in Malibu randomly, and this was before he died. It was cool. I was like, there's the Blind Samurai. There he goes. There's the dude from Blade Runner. He made up that line that he says, memories will be lost like tears in rain. Pretty amazing. Really understood that character. Guy who just wanting to live, like we all do right now. Just wanting to have a life. Rutger Hauer, God rest his soul. Very good actor. Very, very blonde. What was the other actor in there? Just gonna Google stuff and play piano. C minor. No, there's a. This is a chord that's in Good Will Hunting. D-7, saddest chord ever. It's a line from that. Kathleen Turner. You guys remember Kathleen Turner? She's from Missouri. She's 65. I didn't know that. She seems like she's 25 still. There are other secret foreign-born actors. See, I thought Stellan Skarsgård, I didn't really quite understand his accent. I thought he was Irish when I first saw him in Good Will Hunting. That was when I first noticed him. He's been an actor forever. But I was like, that sounds like an Irish accent. That was before I understood anything. But he is not Irish. And he has two famous sons, one being Pennywise. Pretty cool. Freebird. Freebird starts out with like an A minor. That's A minor. It's perfect. Perfect A minor. I gotta tune this keyboard. I gotta tune this electronic keyboard. What's up? What's up, Dirksen? We're just playing A minors here. But my electronic keyboard's out of tune. I don't know what's going on. That's a very sussy chord. Dirksen, what's an accent that you remember from a movie that an actor either did a terrible job or an amazing job at doing an accent? Because there are some people like Meryl Streep who are in every single movie that she's in, every single movie that I've seen her in, somehow is incredibly 100% convincing. Think of Sophie's Choice. Think of A Dingo Ate My Baby. Think of these movies, and you'll just be blown away. She sounds 100% authentic. When I was a kid and I saw her in A Dingo Ate My Baby, I think is the title of that movie, when I saw her with the short hair and the thing, and I was like, I don't even recognize that person as anybody I've ever seen before in my life, because it's Meryl Streep, and she does that to you. She will change your perception of her. She will convince you a dingo ate her baby. And I was completely convinced. She will convince you that she's a Polish immigrant who had to choose between her two kids. Crazy stuff, guys. Another one I mentioned yesterday, Gary Oldman, pretty phenomenal accenteer, I'm going to say. I'm going to invent a word right now here on the show today. You watched it live. Accenteer, Gary Oldman. Always plays a different, even if he's an American in a role, he doesn't just do general non-regional American accent. He does, I'm from the south side of Chicago accent. I am from southeast Boston accent. So whenever you see Gary Oldman, even in The Dark Knight, say, he's got like a Chicago twinge on his accent. One of my favorite performances is him in True Romance, when he's playing kind of that drug dealing gangster guy. Because, guys, that is a dude who won an Oscar for playing Winston Churchill. Same guy. Crazy. Mind-blowing. What was his name in that movie? Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. That is a great example of a terrible Cockney accent. But Dick Van Dyke, you gotta love that guy. Certain people can get away with it. Dick Van Dyke can get away with it. Nicolas Cage can get away with it. But yeah, Dick Van Dyke, man, I was like, why is that? When I was a kid, I was watching that. I'm like, why is he talking like an idiot? Because he's just so lovable. You know, I might watch the sequel to Mary Poppins just because Dick Van Dyke does a cameo in it. Oh, Game of Thrones. Yeah, you know, you gotta love. You can kind of give them a pass on that because where is Westeros really? Where is it? It doesn't exist, so you can make up any accent. And but Peter Dinklage, if he's attempting an English accent, I'm gonna let it slide because he's so good. I'm gonna let you slide, Peter Dinklage, but don't come around here trying to play an English guy. He, in Avengers Infinity War, I would say that his accent is the weakest in that. Sorry, Mr. Dinklage. Phenomenal, charismatic actor. The English accent, I don't know what's going on with that, bro. I'll let it slide. Here's a funny one. If you watched Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, with Gal Gadot, she has an accent. She's Israeli. So she's got an Israeli accent, speaking American. However, it's very funny because in Wonder Woman, they actually have to show where Wonder Woman is from. Now, Gal Gadot has this, I guess, unavoidable accent that she has as a human being, as a person. So in the movie Wonder Woman, they needed to reverse engineer why she speaks that way and had everyone from where she's from have that same accent. So all of the other accents basically had to learn the way that she talks, which I think is hilarious. But it kind of makes sense in the movie because they say, oh, well, we've been around for thousands of years, so we speak hundreds of languages, so everybody's way of talking is a little messed up. Everything we say just sounds funny. So that kind of makes sense. I also mentioned yesterday at Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks was pretty cool because that little kid, that accent that he has in Forrest Gump wasn't an accent that he came up with. He heard that little kid that played him as a younger version of Forrest Gump talking with a thick Alabama accent, and he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to learn the way that this kid talks, and I'm going to pattern my whole speech after this kid so that we don't have to teach him how to talk like me. I'm going to literally talk with the exact inflection of a 7 or 8-year-old kid from Alabama. And thus the amazing Forrest Gump accent was born and perfectly consistent with that little kid. Anna Paquin, Colin Farrell. Yeah, Colin Farrell, Irish guy, gets away with playing an American. You know what's funny? I watched Midsommar. I liked it. I'd say that overall I liked it. The lead actress, she is English. And what's with English actors? I guess particularly female English actors. I don't know if this probably applies across the board of all genders, but her English accent is very deep and gravelly. She's got it down here when she's talking. But then when people talk American, they're like, hey, I'm American. They have this kind of higher pitched, nasally sound. And you would never think that their voice, they almost have a different voice from their English accent to their American portrayal. I guess Americans just sound whiny, and English people sound soothing and friendly and smart. Is there a smart accent? What's the smartest accent? Let me know so I can adopt it. Anna Paquin. Anna Paquin in... this might come as a surprise to some people, but Lindsay Lohan, pretty good from what I can hear. I mean, her English accent sounded pretty convincing to me. I think kids at that age can adopt any accent pretty quickly. Oops. All right. I just got rid of the chat window. Hang on, guys. I'll bring it back. I'll give you my choice in a second, actually, because I've got it queued up, ready to knock out of the park, because that's pretty much the only answer. I'll bring it back. Clive Owen. I'll wait for the delay to go through. Tom Holland didn't know he was a British actor till I actually heard his actual voice. Tom Holland's a good one. He's also got a deeper voice. And then he's like, I'm Spider-Man. Cool thing. This is what I like about Tom Holland as Spider-Man and as an actor in general, because this was the right approach. A lot of actors either didn't do this well or didn't do this consciously, but particularly Tobey Maguire. Everybody loves Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, which is good. However, people seem to forget that Peter Parker is from Queens. He is from a very specific part of Queens. I believe he's from Carroll Gardens. I don't know. I forget. No, that's Brooklyn. I forget what part of Queens he's from, but when he's playing Spider-Man, Tom Holland is playing Spider-Man, he sounds like he's a dude from Queens. He talks like he's from New York, and that's how Spider-Man should sound if he's from that area. He should sound like he's from that area. I think that's pretty cool, because I think that was... I don't know. People didn't really take that into consideration when they were trying to do a New York... trying to represent Spider-Man. Tom Holland does a mean Michael J. Fox impersonation. Wow. You know what? He is kind of a Michael J. Fox type. We do miss Michael J. Fox. We do need a Michael J. Fox these days. That's a good point. There's a deep fake on the internet right now, and it's spooky to watch. It's the scene from Back to the Future where Doc and Marty are in his high school, or in 1955 in the high school walking around. And they deep fake Robert Downey Jr.'s face onto Doc and Tom Holland's face onto Marty. And it's very spooky. It's really spooky as to what they can do these days. So you gotta watch out, because they could just steal your likeness and put you in a movie. Put you in an old movie. But this is why I think they should just redo another... Why not just make another Back to the Future? Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox are still around. Just put them in it and then deep fake their own faces back onto their face, and then Back to the Future 14. I'll watch that. Michael J. Fox is an American treasure, even though he's a Canadian. We love you, Michael J. Fox. One of the funny things about Back to the Future is the role of Marty was played by Eric Stoltz for about 5 weeks or 4, 5, 6 weeks or something ridiculous. They shot so much of Back to the Future already with Eric Stoltz because Michael J. Fox was their first choice, but they couldn't get him because he was busy. So Michael J. Fox said, "Oh, I'm available now, except I'd have to just work all night and then shoot Family Ties, which was a sitcom in the 80s, all day." So they fired Eric Stoltz and then reshot everything with Michael J. Fox. And there's even scenes in Back to the Future where when they cut to the over-the-shoulder shot, like say when Biff gets punched in the face in the bar in 1950, in the milkshake shop in 1955, that shoulder is Eric Stoltz's shoulder. So they didn't reshoot. I mean, I guess they reshot everything, but they used shots from when Eric Stoltz was in the scene with them 6 weeks later. Well, Michael J. Fox would go film Back to the Future all night. That's why they were in the Twin Pines Mall, later known as Lone Pine Mall, all night. They just were doing night shoots, and then all day long he would shoot Family Ties. That guy was a workhorse. Can't believe I forgot to mention Teen Wolf in one of my favorite movies of all time. You guys ever see Teen Wolf? It'll always make you feel happy. Makes me feel happy. The smartest accent is Elvin. I think you're right. I think it's the perfect accent. It really is. I mean, by definition, it's the perfect accent. You've got I don't know. If Elvis was Elvin and spoke Elvish, that'd be friggin' so meta. I don't know, how did Aerosmith's daughter, I call her Aerosmith's daughter, she's Elvish. She's Elvish. She's not fully, I guess. Who's that other guy? Agent Smith. Agent Smith is an elf. You know what I love about Lord of the Rings? Let's talk about Lord of the Rings for a second. First of all, it's amazing. Second of all, it's awesome. Third of all, there's this like attention to detail about stuff. Like Orlando Bloom, his character being elvish and being perfect in every way, and how he's like always like precise and perfect and lighter than air, essentially. That one shot, that there's a far shot in Fellowship of the Rings where they're trudging through snow and he's just walking atop the snow. It's such a cool little touch. He's effortless because he's Elven. It's pretty neat. It's such a funny Peter Jackson, man. He's on it. Ben Kingsley. Good choice. I still like Iron Man 3. I think Ben Kingsley is hilarious in that. It was later retconned that he is in fact the Mandarin, but his portrayal of a burnt out, addicted actor trying to get some work, very funny, very true. That year or the year after, I actually got to go to a party on New Year's Eve. Because the same director of that, I can't think of a thing today. I don't even know what day today is. Shane Black. I went to a New Year's Eve party at Shane Black's house. That was an interesting New Year's Eve party. It was a very Hollywood party. There were so many Hollywood people there. And I'm not going to it was a fun time and I enjoyed myself. However, it was very funny because Shane Black is a fan of Shane Black. Shane Black is an incredible writer-director. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Long Kiss Goodnight, Last Boy Scout, Lethal Weapon. He wrote all those. He played Hawkins in Predator. Here's a little quick story about Shane Black. He's a Hollywood iconic screenwriter. He's very young. He was the youngest screenwriter to make $1 million selling a script. I think it was Lethal Weapon. And he was so he was such a hot commodity in the late 80s that everybody wanted him writing for them. So when John McTiernan was directing Predator, he saved money on Shane Black by just casting him in the movie. And Shane Black is in his early 20s, and he would consult Shane Black while filming Predator. And Shane Black, being an actor playing Hoskins, he consulted him for daily punch-ups on the script. And that's why you get that scene with the dirty joke and all that stuff, because that's all Shane Black's addition to the movie Predator, which I think is pretty freaking cool. But of course, Shane Black is the first to die, I think. Hawkins. I can't even say it, but get to the chopper. Pretty great. So Shane Black had to kind of work for an actor's salary as a writer on Predator. Pretty neat. But he dies. He also did The Predator. He wrote and directed that, which wasn't bad. It just wasn't good. But it did include a freaking great scene that you never, ever, ever once have seen in a movie ever in your entire life. This is what makes Shane Black unique and fantastic. There's a scene where they're getting ready to go fight the Predators, but the lead actor has to take a poop. So he goes into the trailer, he goes into the home and comes out 15 minutes later, basically. Never happens in a movie. You've never seen that in a movie until Shane Black remembered that people do have to pee and poo. And that's what I wonder about the show 24. I've never started it, but are there like several 15-minute gaps in which people are indisposed? Or are they just on the computer all day and all night and nobody's like, hey guys, I'll be right back, I gotta take a leak? People forget that pretty much, I don't know, all day long, you gotta take a leak at least every now and then. If you don't, remember to hydrate. Thank you guys for liking this stream. Like the stream if you're watching on YouTube. Like it. Just push the like button. Tap the screen if you're watching on Instagram. Like. It helps out. I hope you guys are doing what you can do to get by in this time of lockdown and isolation. This is what I can do. So I'm doing it. And I'm going to do it every day. Weekday, that is. Monday through Friday, around noon, 12:30 probably, until lockdown is lifted. It is Good Friday. Is it a good Friday? Every Friday is good. Every day is good. What is even a day? What is time? No, I mean, what is time? What is it? Tell me. No, but it doesn't matter. I got stories, man. I got the trivia. Teen Wolf is super fun. I think so too. Thank you, Tatiana. It's a fun movie. I think about it all the time. What's the song at the end of it? That's how it goes. It's a beautiful song at the end of the movie. I used to know how to play it, actually. The operative word being used to. Something like that. Very sad, sour, delicious song. Not sour, but bittersweet, I'd say. Tangy, even. It's a tangy tune. And not at all twangy. I'm an expert pianist. I made my bones playing piano. Remember this one? I learned that from watching Big. Where's this one? Robert Loggia, man. Frank Loggia? Kevin Loggia. What was that actor's name that was in that? Frank Langella. Nope. It was definitely an Italian name. He was pretty good. He was a good... But he's a guy that, he always had the same accent. Has Tom Hanks ever had an accent in anything? Oh yeah, Russian accent in the airport movie. This when he was in the airport movie Terminal. Tom Hanks. It was pretty good. I mean, is it hard to do Russian accent? You just leave out article in every sentence. Yeah. Imagine The Rock doing an accent. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to imagine that. It's not good. I think Tilda Swinton is pretty good, except it pokes out every now and then. You know who is pretty phenomenal, but however, it's kind of every now and then Nicole Kidman lets her Australian show. Don't laugh too hard, except you need to laugh. People need to laugh in this time. It's okay. Just put, just cover your face, but wash your hands first. Every like 5 minutes, my Instagram live tells me there's like a little notification that says John Boyega is live right now. Listen, John Boyega, you're competing with my fan base right now. You and me, John Boyega, with your impeccable American accent, your non-regional. Well, is John Boyega's accent really impeccable? Because the way he talks in Star Wars is like he's kind of like a California guy. Do you guys notice that? I noticed that. But you wouldn't know that he had such a thick accent. No worries. No worries, Jimmy James. Tom Cruise put a pretty bad accent, Irish accent, Far and Away. Yeah. That was pretty bad. You know who else in that era was pretty bad? Was Robin Hood. The actors who was Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner. If you guys are showing up, remember, thank you guys for liking this video. Like the video as much as possible. Tap the screen if you're watching on Instagram Live. I think like hearts appear or something magical happens. Like I will get hearts in my eyes. I'm good, man. What's up, 420 artist? I remember we hung out at VidCon. Was that a year and a half ago already? VidCon's coming up already again, but it's canceled because life is canceled. Life is on pause. We're paused right now. How have you been, 420 artist? 420 is coming up. It's in a couple weeks. If my math is correct, I'm not even paying attention to what time it is. I'm pretty sure, judging by the amount of light outside, that it's daytime. Can't be certain. Life is paused. But this is why we hang out. We just hang out here. We talk about Brad Pitt and his terrible Irish accent on The Devil's Own. Pretty good. I'm still wondering what your pick for the worst accent of all time is, because I've got my... Sorry, my connection was paused for a second. I've got my pick for worst movie actor accent of all time. However, still sort of somewhat forgivable. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Finn is pretty awesome. Yeah, man, Finn is awesome. He's very California sounding. I like his little improv line in Force Awakens. He's like, you got a boyfriend? You got a cute boyfriend? Very funny. I think that John Boyega is the most charisma in the new Star Wars there is. Oscar Isaac is also great. Daisy Ridley is also great. However, John Boyega is the breakout star. Sorry. He is... I think people are starting to become wise to John Boyega's charisma and Adam Driver's acting abilities. Because Adam Driver is probably... And you ain't heard this from me. He's probably the best actor of his generation. But the world's figuring that out now. It's going to take him a minute, and then people are going to look back. Because I think actors like Robert De Niro, people always thought were good and always wanted to see. I don't know, he was kind of phenomenal during his heyday. But I think when you look back at his body of work, he's always perfect. You know what's pretty cool about Robert De Niro is him speaking Italian almost exclusively. blowing up, guys. His speaking almost exclusively Italian in The Godfather Part 2. After Earth, Smith Family is the worst. Ooh, I haven't seen After Earth, but I heard it's a lot like watching Afterbirth. Christopher Walken is a good one. He's got an idiolect, an Estonian New Yorker idiolect. He's really great. But I'm saying, if we're watching a movie and there's a person that's supposed to be English or American, but they just can't pull off the accent. Now, I got mine queued up in my head ready to go, and it could be controversial, but I think it's also indisputable at the same time. Who do you guys think it is? I'll wait a couple minutes because there's a delay on the YouTube stream, but I want to see your answer for who you think is the best. Bob Hoskins did a pretty good Brooklyn accent in Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, Super Mario Brothers. That's, maybe the only time we'll mention that movie. That's a weird movie, man. There's some funny, interesting analyses on YouTube about Super Mario Brothers being a bizarre movie because it was just so depart. There was a time in filmmaking where they took the property and they would say, if it was a comic book or a video game pre-existing that people loved and adored, they would adapt it to a film version that was just so different, just a reinterpretation totally, because they looked at Tim Burton's Batman or something like that and they thought, wow, this is an incredible interpretation of the comic book, yet it is also very much stamped with Tim Burton's signature style. However, they failed when they tried to do that with Super Mario Brothers, because they tried to do some kind of, like, it's called Dino Hatton instead of Manhattan, because people evolved at the same time from dinosaurs to be exactly like kind of primate, simian humans. And I'm not going to get into it. You know what I'm talking about. Bob Hoskins actually did pull off a pretty good, it always sounded like he was from New York, but interestingly enough, the New York accent has a lot of Cockney roots. So when people talk like this, it kind of translates to when people talk like this, because it's but there's also the Italian American influence and a Yiddish influence on that, which kind of mushes together in the melting pot of New York, and everybody sounds like, sounds weird. A little bit of Irish in there, Irish, Cockney, Yiddish, and Italian. And that's how you get the New York accent, really. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And there you go. Get out of here. Get the frick out of here. I said frick, people on YouTube, if you want to demonetize this. Let's see. All right, my answer for the worst, yet best, yet worst accented actor, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves. The most likable human on the face of the planet. If Keanu Reeves and Tilda Swinton did a movie, it would be pretty phenomenal. Oh, they did. They did do a movie together. I'm going to watch that again. Was it Constantine? Keanu Reeves' accent is in Bram Stoker's Dracula and also Dangerous Liaisons is definitely the absolute worst. What's up, CL Hodge 11? We were just talking about accents because you had suggested we do this. And here we are talking about accents. I believe your accent is Scottish. I can't do it, but I could say one phrase in Scottish, because Scottish is clearly a language. And it's pretty authentic, I've been told, from Scottish people. But it's a... If you can translate that, let me know what I just said. James Vanderbeek in Varsity Blues. I don't want your life. That's a great one, 420 artist. Absolutely. Hamlet. If you guys can translate what I just said in Scottish, type it out. I'd like to see. I think the only person who can is the only true Scotsman here. Let's see. Keanu. I feel the empathy for him. He does bad accents. He's so endearing. It's so true. Why do we forgive him? I used to get mad at Keanu Reeves, even though Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey are a couple of my most beloved films of my entire life. I used to get so mad that people would continually hire Keanu Reeves because I was like, he's not doing a good job. He is not doing a great job. Why do we keep hiring him? But after a while, you're just like, it's Keanu. We just like that guy. Doesn't have to be a reason. Anybody translate what I said in Scottish? I'll try it one more time. Ja, snoptro. I have to really concentrate when I say it. I'm actually saying something easily discernible if you're from Scotland. And understandable. Let me know if you can guess what it is I'm saying. See? You're laughing, CL Hodge 11. You're laughing because you understand it, and it's it's pretty easily understandable. However, people hear it. Yeah, people here, they cannot understand what the heck I'm saying when I say that. I get so confused, but I laugh and laugh and laugh because it's true. Anybody have a guess? I've got a couple more minutes left on this feed, and I will reveal what I'm saying in Scottish. Speaking of accents, today we've spoken about many different accents in movies. We've talked about how to stay safe during the coronavirus. We've talked about how to stay healthy. So I hope you guys are doing that. I hope you guys are physically distancing from one another, not just socially, because you don't have to socially distance at all. You can maintain contact with people. Even better than Braveheart. Fair enough. William Wallace. Freedom. It's a great movie. It's a lot of people's favorite movies. Highlander is also a fantastic movie. However, Christopher Lambert is French-Canadian, playing a Highlander. Doesn't quite translate it all that well. Yeah, his accent in that is probably takes the cake for bizarreness. But at the same time, you can be like, give Christopher Lambert a little bit of leeway because his character is supposed to be already thousands of years old. So maybe his accent has just been traveled and keeps taking on different accents, different colors. But yeah, Christopher Lambert is not Scottish at all in that. So I've got 2 minutes remaining on this feed today. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to do this as often as possible, probably 5 days a week. Noon 30 Pacific Standard Time. Every day, different topic. Every day we'll be having fun, hanging out. We'll be socially united and physically distant. And if we can do that and remain doing that for, I don't know, if we could all do it consistently, we'll flatten the curve. Oh, Halle Berry in X-Men. Yeah. I think it's funny when people have the generic African accent where they talk like this. Everything is it sounds very wise and important. But it's just kind of this generic African continent accent. Chris Hemsworth's quasi-Scots accent is pretty awkward. Yeah. I forget that he's Australian, though, because when he's Thor, he's talking like this all the time. He's just very Shakespearean English. But he's an Aussie. Snow White and the Huntsman. Oh, I got to see Snow White and the Huntsman. I'm sure it's probably a tricky Train Spotting. Sick Boy is from London. Oh, good one. Good one. So I'm going to reveal what I said. I'm going to say it one more time. It's... All right. What I said in Scottish, because nobody seems to have gotten it. 26. 20. Oh. This is funny. Everybody on my Instagram feed just missed out on the answer to this, which is hilarious. I'll reveal it on Monday. But my Instagram feed just died 26 seconds left. But you guys can be let in on this little secret on YouTube right now. You know what? I'm going to go live one more time. I don't think I can. Can I? No. I cut off. Yeah. Let me just go live one real quick. I'll extend this. Well, I can't go live. I've just got 1 hour. I think it's hilarious. You know what? I'm going to let you guys sit on this for the weekend. And on Monday, I'm going to reveal what I said. I'm going to say it one more time. And then I'm going to leave you with this. I'm continually coming in and out of focus right now. But stay safe. Stay clean. I don't know what that means. Wash your friggin' hands. Get in the shower. Do all the things. I'm going to say it one more time in full earnestness, and hopefully I'll stay in focus for this. De la snoptro.